Are we live? Ladies and gentlemen, are we live yet? Yes, we are live. God, can you believe this? It must be magic. How's everybody doing today on this really nice Tuesday, August the 18th? And in case you haven't noticed, we're in our secret indoor location, having had our secret outdoor location previously spoken for. But that's okay. So we're moving. It's still a nice day out there, and hope everybody's doing well. And you know what? Let's go ahead and open up these phone lines. Give us a call, 949-629-3820. If there's anything you particularly want to vent about or happy about, thrilled about, at least in the political world, when we don't solve, family problems here, but we're more than happy to work with you on the political side of things. And we've got some really great people coming up for interviews. Stay tuned for the next. We'll just check the homepage, and you'll see we've got some really cool council races. Dave Petty from the Nigel Moulton Water Board, Laura Lacker from the Mission Viejo City Council. We're chatting with a few other mayors about coming on, so we're pretty excited about all this. And let's see, guys. There's one theme or a theme I keep on coming back to, and then I'll expand on it. And I made a vow to start every show like this at least until November 2nd. And in the nicest way possible, the Republicans have the president has a credibility problem, right? I mean, you never know. You can, these days, it's kind of a foregone conclusion that, more often than not, it'll be a fabrication, which is another really nice word for lie. So anyway, he's got a credibility problem, and he's got people that have to love him and to worship him like they do in the House and Senate. So everybody keeps their jobs, regardless of the will of the people, which hopefully will not be affected by outside influences. Let's say, at this point, you would have to bet there's something going on, whether it'll be gumming up the works inside the House. What if he fires the clerk of the House of Representatives, who gives the official role to the president of the Senate to count, like Mike Pence was doing before January 6th? And so let's say you guys have a really bad credibility problem. However, we Democrats have the answer. And the answer is unity. And guys, don't be tempted to vote for or against someone because it's a Democrat socialist as opposed to a Democrat. At this point, this is about stopping the bleeding so we can assess the patient. And any Democrat, I promise you, any Democrat is better than the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican at this point. And it's unity the whole way. And I mean, nobody likes being made fun of. The Democratic Socialists, the commies, the pinkos, whatever it is. But guys, this is different. I actually consider this an existential threat. When you look around the world, I mean, it's just ablaze. And all I can say was, when Biden doesn't get credit for keeping the world sane, but Trump's the first one to blame him when things go wrong under his watch. The guy's just a huge mess of a human being. And the wild thing is, he conned enough people to vote for him. I still, every day, I just think what about January 6th wasn't enough? You would think that would be enough to permanently disqualify anybody from seeking the presidency. But these guys just have bought in hook, line, and sinker. And one of my mother's friends used to talk to me about faith and religion and all that. And I had finally come to the determination that faith is that which you believe in, all evidence to the contrary. And, it's that evidence stuff that kind of makes our system work. We assume that the old Roman Latin phrase, pactum et servantum, promises should be enforced. Um, well, do we want every Trump promise enforced? Of course not. Um, but I don't think it's too much to ask that somebody not be, a stark raving lunatic who tweets in the middle, or what's he do, truth socials in the middle of the night with he and George Washington. I mean, this is George Washington, George, and let me give you just a quick story about old George. Seems like when GW was a young man, he had a hatchet and or a some kind of tool like that. So of course, there's a cherry tree on the property. So George is a mischievous young man, so he cuts it down. And so a little later on in the day, it's like, "Oh, Georgie, come in here." So George shows up in his knickers and all that stuff, short pants, and the father says, "Son, did you chop down the cherry tree?" And little George looked him in the eye and said, "I cannot tell a lie. I did chop down the cherry tree." And so that's the kind of honesty, integrity that is attributed to George Washington, the first president. The model. He was a model in a lot of ways. Uh, so anyway, so this I cannot tell a lie. George Washington is in the Trump ballroom with Trump. So this is too funny. He's in the ballroom with Trump, as if they're discussing things, and Trump goes on to thank George for his wise contributions and observations to the ballroom. And of course, George is thrilled because he's wanted a ballroom since he was like what 1749 or something. Uh, but nobody, is that, I mean, if your mother or granddad or somebody did that, would you not seek some sort of help, or would you just kind of be amused and laugh at laugh at the stroke victim? I mean, it's a bad situation, and laughing at the stroke victim, as just provokes the stroke victim, and it just so happens that he has his finger on the nuclear codes. The guy with the football thing? Yeah. So, guys, that's just why we have to remain unified. I will preach this until my last breath, until at least November 2nd. I mean, what would it take to not vote for any given Democrat at this point? I don't know. I don't know how anyone with a choice can even consider a Republican candidate. I mean, I don't want to just I don't want to tarnish any of them or all of them. But you guys, you sold your souls to the devil. If you still cannot say that the 2024 election was clean, and I mean the 2020 election was clean, and that Joe Biden won, I mean, if you can't say that out of fear, then you don't need to be here in the first place. I mean, I don't know which borough or Hampton or Berg or Ville, whatever you come from, but this is America. I don't know what the and like I say, after George Washington, that was, you had Honest Abe, and somehow or other, we all know Honest Abe had a rough childhood and all that, uh, but somehow I don't think they would have called him Honest Abe or put him on Mount Rushmore if he was relatively honest Abe, which is just again compounds the thing when Trump shows up pictures or images, AI, of course, images of him carved into Mount Rushmore, along with the old GW and Honest Abe and Teddy Roosevelt, right? That's all you need is Donald Trump and his 34 felony count convictions and the female stuff, and God only knows what the. Uh, I mean, some people are just. Someone's gonna get the Epstein files out, and someone's gonna get the evidence one way or the other. And At this point, I just I just want it out. I want it fairly evaluated. I don't, you know, as much as it would be sad to see, anybody involved with that. If it's the president, then he clearly doesn't have any moral character. Biden called him, said he had the morals of an alley cat. And, you know, it's like the American public was shown a monster and a really good person, and they took the monster. It's just indescribable to me. So anyway, here we are, 600 and something days later, with an election like 6 days away, and guys, this is unlike anything else we've ever seen. We've never seen a president so unwilling to play by the rules in major events like this. And I know Nixon, didn't exactly play by the rules and all that, but he didn't necessarily get in the way of elections, to the best of my recollection. I think most Americans are happy to sit back and let the two people fight it out, and we see who wins. And if your guy wins, great. If my guy wins, great. Regardless, we'll go at it again in 4 years or 2 years for another midterms. Uh, that's, I mean, it's designed to work this way. It clearly was not designed for just a uh, power hungry king wannabe king. Uh, I said the guy's been mentally off for a while, and the problem is it's like the frog in the hot water. Eventually, the frog doesn't know in the water; it just keeps creeping up, creeping up, creeping up. Well, it's like you can't see Trump's lunacy just coming on, coming on, coming on. It's not like he hides this stuff. And if you're a child or like tweeting or true socialing at 15 times in 30 minutes at 3:33 a.m., I would hope you'd be a little worried about the guy. But these people that want to let Trump be Trump have, like I said, they made their deal with the devil because they know what a lunatic he is. Only a bully and a lunatic could have passed the Tax Cut Act when Trump came into office. I mean, that added $3.8 trillion to the deficit, almost 10% of the deficit in that one bill. And did he do it to invest in America? No. Would Trump do that to invest in America? Of course not. He used it to buy his friends, to give them some moolah. And, and I'm sure that he meant nothing but the best by thinking, oh, those kids don't need that kind of, food allowance. Those kids don't really need, a visit to the doctor that often, do they? Or my favorite, didn't one of the women said let them eat like celery and a carrot or something? I mean, you took food out of the mouths of starving people to pay for a tax cut. And the other day, I'm still hoping for that Oval Office address where you can explain all this winning in Iran to me, because I swear I look at this thing 8 ways from Sunday and I just don't see a whole lot of winning going on. So like I say, if you could get back to me on that, prayers, I'd appreciate it. Um, but the fact of the matter is, this sort of lunacy has just never been seen, and we don't know. We honestly don't know. I'm sure construction on the ballroom is, going to be stopped for a while. But what if the Supreme Court greenlights it? I mean, he's already been just unprecedented in terms of consolidating power. And, the sad thing is it's not new to him, but he's just the latest empty vessel. I mean, Nixon craved power like you wouldn't believe. But he didn't do this. Guys, I swear, I'm sorry, I just shake my head daily at this. And another thing, I had to have a car repair this morning, so we're not the best prepared host today. So I appreciate you giving me a little slack today and go off the cuff. But let me ask you this: has anybody seen any of the John Ossoff videos, or I guess it's ads? This guy's a bulldog. I sent Democratic senator from Georgia, which is so nice to have two Democratic senators from Georgia. And Warnock is not up for re-election, but Ossoff is. So, guys, if we hold those two, things are looking awfully good to pick up the Senate. And if you have the House, you got a little power. If you got the Senate, you got a little more power. And if you ain't got either in Washington, you have what's commonly called bupkis or skadookus. And bupkis is like nothing, and skadookus is like 10 nothings. So you certainly don't want any bupkis, much less skadookus. So I said, if you ain't got power in Washington, you just ain't got power, period. And and that's how it works. Elections, you have more people voting for than we have voting against, and well, let's pass it. Got to move on, right? Uh, but this election, November 2nd, 2026, will be written about for ages because, of course, we're not there yet, but there's something, there will be how can some interference in the election at some point. Uh, and you'd have to be an idiot to think that it would be anybody else other than the guy that's been talking about it. Uh, and after with a ballroom like he wants, and helipad and whatever else. Oh, and I see the ballroom's like going to be close to $1 billion. And oh, by the way, while he gets that nice big ballroom that's just incredibly fancy for all these really cool state dinners, how's that healthcare situation working out for you in rural Pennsylvania? You anybody listening from Pennsylvania? Phone lines are open, 949-629-3820. Come on and tell me what's going on. So how about those clinics that closed? And how about the women that can't access, birth control pills or just, health care? It's just health care at this point. And, I've got a really simple rule about stuff like that because I never understood how in the world a man got the right to decide what health procedures women had access to. I thought, and silly me, but I thought that if it was in somebody's body, then it was pretty much theirs to do with. And that if it was something outside the person's body, well, then you know, and then the state may have an interest. But it's just hard to square all these inconsistencies that would clearly have been wrong under Biden, but whatever Trump does is fine. And oh, by the way, I won't go into the Hunter Biden laptop and all that. But does the corruption just stink? I mean, is that the smell from 3,000 miles away? I mean, the stench is just criminal. And he ruins the country, makes out like abandon himself, and leaves everybody else to pay for it, like he always did. I mean, the financial genius from The Apprentice, I think that was like television, like made up, like fiction. They may have painted, it's kind of those survivor type reality shows. They're all scripted to some degree, even though there is some competition. And I got to tell you, Survivor kind of creeped me out early on. After one of the early meals was like the eyeball of a something or other. And I'm like, I don't think I'd rather have like a bean and cheese burrito if I could. I don't really need to eat like, Eye of Nude or whatever it is, or any of those other Addams Family references. So anyway, another thing that really bears talking about is, and I don't know how many of you have any investments or anything. If you do, give us a call or hit the donation button at democracyradionetwork.com. You'll see it right at the top. And, unlike other hosts, I don't ask people to click on the donate. I don't ask them to, like tap on it or, mouse it or whatever they do. I just want the only thing I ask is this: is kind of don't mess around and just beat the living daylights out of that thing, and keep those donations coming so we can have a little food, shelter, and maybe even a little, maybe even a smog certificate. That's really what Uncle Ab needs is a smog certificate. And I don't know if anybody, if you know, most people just kind of get their cars smogged and so on and so forth. I've had my check engine light on for a while now, and the mechanic said it was okay, so I just kept driving it. And then time comes to get it registered, and I get the thing in the mail, and I go to the mechanic and say, "Well, can't you turn the light off so I can go get my smoke certificate?" And it's like, "No, we can't just turn the light off so you can go get your smoke certificate. You got to deal with this." And so this has been like 2 months. I've replaced a manifold air pressure sensor, a relay of some sort, a fuse, the actual smog air injection pump. And so I'm finally down to the check valve. And I've been following AI with this. So I can only hope that I'm like getting close. This is supposedly the last stop on the line. So anyway, and the part is like, I don't know, $600 or so from the dealer. I'm like, Jesus. Plus, got to have an hour labor put it in, and, like 150. So, and then I still need the smog at $100, and the registration was at 200. So, there's a nice little piece of change in there. Uh, so anyway, so my mechanic is off in reserves for a month, so that gets delayed. So he gets back, and finally we get together for today at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I am there at 8 o'clock on the dot. And I went to like 8:10 or 8:15, and oh no, and so when I pulled in, I'm like, Caesar, I'm in your driveway. So I just kind of sit there, and about 10 or 15 minutes later, I'm like, Caesar, you okay? This is about 8:15 or so. And then finally, like about 8:25 or so, I just called, and he had fallen back asleep. Uh, so anyway, so it takes a few minutes, and he comes out, and he does whatever he does, and all of a sudden I hear the hood slam. I'm like, God, that was quick. And I look up, and he's got this look on his face like, oops. And I can know what happened. And he says, you need a special tool for this, and I don't have one. I'm like, okay. So let me ask you this: what you know? I So he says, well, I need one anyway, so I'm going to order it. And how if I just let you know when it comes in? And I was so flipped out. My first thing was, if I can get it done, I've got to get it done. But if not, let me know. And after I left, I like thought about it. I'm like, you should have just, stuck with the guy and gotten it over with. So I texted him, and we'll see. If not, I actually have a plan B, and I'm sure it'll be about the same, or within $20 to $30. And I say the truth of the matter is, it'd just be nice to get this thing done and see whether that solves the problem. Because in California, you even after you change whatever parts that need to be changed, you have to go through some sort of drive cycle before the check engine light will go off. And if the check engine light is on, nobody will touch it. Nobody will smog it or anything. So this is a pretty crucial thing. And, between of course, I would get stopped this morning my first time since I've missed the registration deadline. This was, geez, 2 months ago, almost 2 months in a week. And in case you're wondering, I have an old '06 Jaguar S-Type, and it's basically a Ford Thunderbird or Lincoln Continental. It's got the same, underpinnings, just different body. And I've got the Ford 3-liter V6 in there, the Duratec V6. The need for a hand-built, by Jaguar, made in England V8, just I thought that might be like a little much on my budget. So we went with the 3-liter Ford V6. And the truth of the matter is, it's been relatively easy to maintain. No real breakdowns or anything. So we still need to get the smog done. So I texted Caesar, asked him, please let me know when he gets it done. And then I just would rather stick with him and, than just strike out on my own. at least at this point. I mean, what's there to say? So anyway, Caesar, thanks. It's it's been difficult for both of us, but I appreciate you hanging with me. It's you really couldn't make up this kind of stuff. But you know what else? In a few minutes, Uncle Ab's gonna have to go. Oh, I don't know. What do they say? Wash his hands. Uh, so we'll do that in a few minutes. But so and another thing, I want to post a poll on Instagram about how many are in favor of permanently changing JD Vance's name to Shady Vance, and that way you would have a Shady Vance in office. Just to kind of you'd have the what is it? Oh, Shady Vance and Don the Con. Oh, the Ballad of Don and Shady. Oh man, that's pretty good. I might just might have to write that. The Ballad of Don and Shady Shady Vance. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm pretty easily entertained with that, but that is a pretty cool little connection. And you know what? I'm going to tie my shoelaces here, and then I'm going to have to excuse myself for a second because I need to go. Uh, what is it? The call of nature, and I can't disappoint Mother Nature because if I do disappoint Mother Nature, I might wind up like peeing in my pants or something. Uh, how about that? So agile enough to bend down and tie my shoelaces. Yeah, I didn't say it was terribly easy to bend down and get my shoelaces, uh, but let's do this. How about that? Then we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, are we back? We are back, and here we are. Excuse me. Live and in color again from our secret indoor location in Newport Beach, California, Newport Harbor. And, having to answer the call of nature, I learned from an old girlfriend that when a woman says, I need to go to the bathroom, that means like now. That means like stop. That doesn't mean next exit. That means like stop now. So anyway, we're now that that's all taken care of, we're ready to get back to the broadcast booth and ask if I was ready for that Raider game on Thursday. I think they play the Texans at Houston. My grandmother used to tell me that, like Abilene, Texas, and all that, they had it was just a real nothing place. And she goes, yeah, they had nothing, and they had a lot of it. So we've been trying to stay away from those kind of places. But dearly beloved, here in August 2026, 76 more days till the election, and that's it. I have no. I used to like when that guy Steve Kornacki did the analysis for MSNBC, and I'm going to tell you who does a really good local analysis is Ryan Dack. And Ryan's a really interesting guy. He's a guy with some integrity. Uh, Ryan is on the South Orange County Community College District Board or something. And this is the real tough work that makes things get done. What Donald Trump would call the deep state are more like bureaucrats who have jobs. And let's see, who's that? Okay. Oh, how about that? Did we just get another request to come on with your somewhat savvy, politically minded host, Abby Kaufman? And had to pop not, I didn't even get the generic cough drops, guys. You know what I got? I wish I could get the generic. Instead, we got the Dollar Tree discount version of the who made those cough drops? Whoever did it. So anyway, just was enjoying having something to wet my throat as my vocal cords dry out. Mm. But guys, at the end of the day, it's going to be another really close election. I mean, even if we do, 5 points would be a landslide. And how does he get any vote, or how do the Republicans get any votes at all? Now, there's a possibility that in the South they've brainwashed a lot of people. And, they keep people just in abject poverty for power. And, a rising tide lifts all boats if you got a boat. And if you ain't got a boat, you drown. And I'm afraid that's exactly what's happening now, as the people are starting to drown by having more more bills than their income can cover. I mean, that'll drive you to a stroke or an early grave, particularly if you're a decent American. I mean, everybody, and I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think that most people understand that nobody likes income taxes. However, and there's a price to be paid for the government, and that's just it. It's derived its revenue. Somebody got to pay for these things. Oh, and another thing, who I want to know how much Trump has spent on the war, and I want to know how much money Trump has spent on Trump. And I cannot imagine why they won't tell me. I mean, it's obviously won't tell me because it's not favorable. But in this like America, don't we have like a right to know this stuff? We pay for it. Shouldn't we get to know? And I mean, and that had arrogance to say, no, you don't need to know. And I'm not telling, or or better yet, the old faithful, make me. You know, I'm not going to show it to you. You got to make me. And we're like, this just drags everything out needlessly, and it's how Trump has won in the past. But I'm going to tell you something, like my friend Scott, I was going to say, sport model. I think this time could be different. You can't. Eventually, the price to pay, and the bill comes due, and I really think that uh, Trump's time to get caught or to get stopped. I mean, it's within our grasp, and that just the great thing. We have a chance, and we have a chance if what we vote the same way. And guys, please, 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 whatever you do, the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican because we need the power. We need those seats in the Senate and we need those seats in the House. And I mean, I'll be the first one to tell you there's a world of difference between having and the effort it takes to get a majority in the House compared to a majority in the Senate. And as far as the Senate being the greatest deliberative body in the world, I don't think so. I mean, I will. I'll kind of say Lindsey, dead Lindsey Graham. The guy just, or how about Tommy Tuberville? What an ignorant guy he is. Oh, and the good news is his senatorial ignorance experience has perfectly qualified him to be the governor of Alabama. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And, Tuberville. And of course, the other senators are just enthralled with having like a decent college coach among them. So, don't forget, it's not like these guys are really interested in governing anyway. I think we've pretty much seen where Trump's interest is. And I'm sure you'll agree with me if I were to propose that the most dangerous place in D.C. is between Donald Trump and a dollar. Because God only knows what he would do to get that dollar. I mean, his the original family will dispute with his niece Mary, and by the way, if somebody made a claim, Donald Trump took advantage of them in a business way, and would you have any preconceived notions on that? And the answer is yes. You probably would have a preconceived notion that based on past experience, it's at least somewhat more likely that Trump did something bad or wrong. And it's funny. He always complains about getting caught. I'm like, guys, he's just guilty. And another thing, this IRS immunity has got to that's got to be wiped off the books. That's got to be contrary to public policy, or some. And if you had a Democrat Supreme Court, I guarantee you that thing would have been off the table right then and there. But I just can't imagine why Republicans are so rosy and think that oh well, if I don't vote for him, he'll just come back with something worse and do it anyway. I'm like, well, guys, if he does that, that's not your job really. Your job is to say no in the here and now, not to like kind of give in like a milk toast. What kind of garbage is that? uh, you know, Cassidy, Cornyn, all you guys that they could have stopped Todd Blanche. I don't want to hear it. I just don't. Go back to Texas. Go back to Louisiana. You know what? I can only hope that you guys go back to Texas and Louisiana and run people like James Tallarico. It's a really decent theologian and minister. And while I never really got those kind of things, it's apparent some people need it. It's kind of religion hadn't completely disappeared. But guys, this is again that's the difference between faith and evidence. Your religion asks you to believe in things that could not possibly have happened, right? But and what's the analogy to that? Is Trump asking you to believe that there was election fraud when there wasn't? I mean, guys, this has been You know, he's been rigging the game ever since. If I lose, it's rigged. If you win, it's rigged. You know, I mean, whatever it is, it's rigged. It's always rigged against him, like the eternal victim of some sort. And you see, in the old days, they had these things called cartoons, and some of them you would have a generic Mister Moneybags, and sometimes like Wile E. Coyote or whoever it is would grab the well-to-do guy, shake him upside down by his ankles, and the money would fall out, and he'd grab the money and leave the guy and go on. And I think that's what Trump is doing to us. He's just trying to shake us down for every penny he can get via taxes or anything. I mean, the Republicans can't honestly answer, or they can't honestly tell their constituents what all is in the big beautiful bill. All they know is that it hurts. All they know is they have. You know what they know? Oh, here's what it is. They know that they have less, and that Donald Trump has more. And that Donald Trump has more because he's a criminal sitting in the president's office in the United States of America. I mean, it's really simple, guys. All that stuff about, I feel your pain. Trump would never say, I feel your pain. Oh, But you guys, somehow or other, he and Shady Vance convinced you that he was better. And so, guys, don't, while we're really mad at you, we have every right to be because you enabled us. If you'd have just said no, we wouldn't be here. You had a choice again, kind of like between the smartest girl in the class or the stupid frat boy, and he went with the stupid frat boy. I mean, the nerdy girl was perfect. She was vice president. She had a head on her shoulder. She was inquisitive. Was she perfect? Absolutely not. But who is? And that's the circular firing squad Democrats keep talking about. We keep, shooting our own. And that's got to stop. And that's got to stop right here and right now. That's why I tell you that the worst Democrat is better than the best Republican. We have to stick together. And if there's a Democrat on the ballot, whatever the position is, they get the vote. Just it. Straight Democrat ticket. Up and down the ballot. And deep down, the hope is that just makes such a resounding statement that any claim is going to be just absurd. But let's say Trump does declare a national emergency. I don't think it's that easy. I'm sure there's got to be some sort of qualifying event or qualifying statistics. And if there's an orderly vote, and of course he'll say fraud, like, well, we don't see any. When police or whoever deal with evidence, they always have to establish the chain of custody, like who had it when, to make sure the evidence wasn't tampered with. And you have to make sure this chain of custody in the early voting states is followed meticulously. We have to, guys, I'll tell you how bad it is. It is so bad, we have to redo our signatures just to make sure they line up and look good. And we cannot give a single reason to have any votes challenged. This is just too important. We've got to win this, and we can win it. I mean, we've got more people than they do. We just have to, get off our behinds and either take it to the early voting place or send it in early or do something. Uh, it's always better when you do it in person. But guys, I say, can you imagine? And I don't know. I'm still trying to find the answer to this, but I think most people would agree that when Trump asked about the master list of U.S. spies, uh, the question is, nobody needs to have that kind of thing. There should never be an official list like that. What that fell into the wrong hands. But now, talk about falling into the wrong hands. Isn't it enough that Trump asked for the list? And that just might pique your curiosity and beg the question. What question would it beg? It would beg the question, you know, what's he exactly need this list for? What's he going to do with it? And knowing Trump as we do, you would have to jump to the immediate conclusion of sell it, right? Mm, so he's got to sell the what were we talking about? Oh, anyway, let's use the sell thing to transfer to a little bond action. And the bond market is, I mean, they're getting really tough. Think about this: as Trump made the deficit higher and made the government riskier, what happened? People quit buying our bonds in as big quantities. And you know what happens? You know why you have to sell bonds if nobody wants to buy your bonds? Now, this is just the opposite of the stock market. You get people to buy your bonds by offering them a higher interest rate. So, and that's kind of a drag when you are the payer of the interest rate, when you're the debtor, as we are. So Trump decreased our income and increased our liabilities. Brilliant, huh? And you wonder why there's an economic calamity. And I got to tell you, even I'm starting to get a little iffy about using the word calamity because it's just a big. I mean, every reputable economist told us that uh, his policies were just inflationary and would do nothing to help America. And lo and behold, after 600 days of lying about it, we're starting to see the contours. And and I still don't know how this thing's going to square with that Natalie Harp woman. She is feeding the president of the United States disinformation day after day. Think about this. She is feeding him disinformation, and he's operating under the presumption that it's got to be true. If it, that's funny. If it praises Trump, it's got to be true, right? And when I think about Jared Kushner going back to Netanyahu to chat about the ceasefire and the disarmament of Hamas, and just out of curiosity, do you think the leadership at Hamas eats hummus? Yeah, and hummus, hummus. I thought that was kind of funny sounding, but anyway, moving right along. Uh, so and there's a lot to be said for testing the honesty of Hamas, but Israel just ain't too trusting anymore. October 7th helped absolutely nothing in that regard. I'm talking about, and it's hard to believe that kicked off this the regional war. And Hamas they didn't mind it. They thought it was a good thing. So, it's a whole, and, the truth of the matter is, not that the people are different, but the cultures are different. And what's common or good in one culture might not be so common or so good in the other culture. So it's just an incredibly weird time. Uh, But the good news is, like I said, we've got more people running for office than never did before. And God bless John Ossoff. If you get the chance, you got to see some of his videos. He did one, yesterday about Natalie Harp and, who was it? Anyway, yeah, so she just feeds the president garbage and he inhales it. And then he goes out and governs on it. And I mean, at some point, doesn't the bill come due for this? You would think there would be an election, and God knows we hope it is. Because if we lose this one, guys, we will have lost the country as we know it. And we had a really good time, ever since World War II. Well, Vietnam was a hiccup, and we lost lots of people for no apparent reason. But at least it took Nixon having sense to, salvage what he could and walk away. And Trump's just too stupid for that. if Trump could salvage what he could, he wouldn't be here today. He's just, I say, just a pathetic human being. Uh, so anyway, guys, I'll have to quit repeating myself at some point. But unity, unity, unity all the way. And actually, it's unity all the way. And Oakland Raiders, my Las Vegas Raiders, who come to play in Houston, the Texans on Thursday night. What's that, like 48 hours away or so? So we invite you to kind of tune in. Just out of curiosity, does anybody do one of those watch party things for the Raiders? I watched the Raiders report with Mitchell Ransom. Excuse me, when I can't find a radio station actually has it. And of course, I'm not paid to get it streamed. I mean, who does that? So yeah, but these watch parties are really cool, and they're two I can really recommend. The first is Raiders Report with Mitchell Renz, RENZ, and he's with a place called Chat, CHAT Sports, and they have their own little watch party. And but Mitchell is, these guys have it down to science. You send in $100 and he'll do a shot of tequila, and it'll be a decent sized shot. $20 might chug a Budweiser or whatever people chug. Uh, so they just get creased watching the game, and it's actually a really fun time. And that's why I kind of enjoy doing it. None of the other hosts really take it to that Mitchell Renz extreme about the the $100 per tequila shot. But the spirit's there, and they're really great. And I kind of, they always seem really fresh. And the other football watch party I want to mention to you is for the Washington Commanders. And this is done by a fellow named Rio Robinson, RIO Robinson. And he's an old time, Redskin fan, Commanders fan, sorry. And it's just great to hear him talk with some of his, down home buddies about this. And so yeah, Rio calls it like it is. Frankly, he uses the N word a little too much for me. But when it's like, blank run, 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 he gets so excited that I highly recommend Rio Robinson and the Washington Commander watch party on YouTube. And let's see what else is going on. Guys, it's Tuesday, and the biggest problem California has to solve on Tuesday. That's right, you guessed it. Where will I go for my Taco Tuesday? Huh? And it's been really weird that my tummy's been such that I haven't really been able to make a Taco Tuesday. Matter of fact, today we have to go. We've got an appointment at the sound lab from 2 till 6, so we need to kind of make use of that time as much as possible. Which means we'll probably go ahead and sign on out of here. And my two choices. I have exactly two choices. I can either make like a tree and leave, or I can split. But if I split, I'm gonna have to decide whether it's up the middle or sideways. I think we'll go sideways with this one. So, guys, have a good Tuesday. And enjoy the day. Get out, get a taco and a Budweiser or beer, whatever you can drink. And be sure and tune in tomorrow. And don't forget Thursday at noontime, Laura Lacco from the city of Mission Viejo. And she is a candidate for city council. And everybody knows where Mission Viejo is, right? Like, what would my mother call near the El Toro Y? Or I think my mother would call it another malfunction junction. What? Yes, Democracy Radio Network. Who do we have on the line? I guess we don't know. Okay. Well, guys, like I said, it's just about an hour into it, and my voice is starting to go. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off early. And If anything we can do, give us a call, 949-629-3820, and tune in tomorrow. And don't forget, Thursday is Laura Lacko, Mission Viejo City Council candidate. So, guys, and you know what we usually say, take care, stay well, and Roger will go over and